What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, the best place for young professionals who want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. If that sounds like you, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to be notified when I drop more videos like this just for you. In today's video, I want to go over COVID-19 and how it affected the real estate market. So any updates in the year 2020. So COVID-19, it was a pandemic. It affected the way the whole world lives. That means it affects how the whole world buys and sells pretty much everything, including real estate. If you're looking to find out how COVID-19 affected the real estate market in Toronto or Canada or pretty much any big metropolitan area in the world, this video will give you a breakdown of what this past year has been like and what you can expect going into 2021. Before we get started, if you could just click the like button down below, that would really help me out. It tells me what kind of content I should be creating for you guys, what you like, and it tells YouTube that I'm doing a decent job. So thumbs up for the algorithm. If you could do that, I would really appreciate it. So let's start with spring. The spring market in real estate is notorious for being super busy, right? Every business has seasons where they do more sales and where they do less sales. The spring market for real estate, it's a high period in the real estate market. So that's when a lot of people are coming out of their homes, out of winter hibernation to put their homes on the market and to buy properties. So there's usually a lot of transactions. But what happens if a virus comes out and sends everyone into quarantine into their homes? COVID-19 quarantine in Toronto started around March 16th, which is generally the beginning of the spring market. So what happens is there's less people selling and the usual buyer demand from spring isn't met. If you want more info on how to practically use market information to save thousands of dollars on your dream home, I highly suggest that you click the link down below and download my free guide on how to save thousands of dollars and get your dream home at an amazing price. Before we dive into the stats, I just want to go over two definitions that are going to be useful. The first one is active listings and the second one is new listings. So active listings is the number of listings that are already active on the market. So they're not new, they may have been there for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, but they're active, not yet sold. New listings are exactly what they sound like, listings that are new to the market that just came out. So what happened with quarantine? So new listings actually dropped just over 18% right after the quarantine hit compared to just earlier that month. So the beginning of March to the second half of March, there was an 18.4% drop in new listings. Come April, the number of new listings continued to drop. However, the number of days on market, which is the days that a listing stays on the market before it's actually sold, was at 19. So this means that the buyer demand is still high, even though the supply isn't there to meet the demand. So people are still wanting to buy, it's still spring, there's still buyers out there. However, a lot of people aren't putting their homes for sale on the market because it's a pandemic, right? People don't want people in their homes. People were scared to go out, so less likely you're going to want to have strangers looking at your home and walking in and out of your place. In general, March and April tend to be the hardest hit months if you take a look back at 2020. April being number of sales year over year, so compared to April of 2019, down 67%, which is huge. But in May, you start to see that come up. So it went down to 53%, so still pretty bad, but not as bad as April, and you could see it start to come up. And this kind of signals the end of the spring season for real estate in Toronto. So what can you expect, or what could we expect going into summer of 2020 given what just happened in spring? For buyers, fewer new listings usually means more competition, higher price, but it's a pandemic and a lot of people just didn't actually want to buy. So a lot of buyers put things on hold, they didn't pull the trigger, hence the lower number of sales. If you were a seller and you're willing to put your home on the market, you would likely see some offers, but because of the pandemic, not a lot of buyers were willing to pull the trigger on a property. And like we mentioned, the average sales price of a home took a dip right after the COVID quarantine hit, but they started to increase going into summer. So how will it play out in summer? Well, with people getting used to life in quarantine and being more okay with going out in masks and the increase in safety procedures put together by the city of Toronto and the province and the federal government and even the real estate board itself, we could expect more people being okay with selling their homes, buying more homes, and actually making more transactions in the summer months. So what happened in summer? Well, remember we said that sales were down historically low at 67% in April, and then it started to improve in May at 53%. Well, come the summertime, it was only down 1.2%, which suggests that a ton of people are returning to the market. New listings improved 2.1% year over year, so compared to 2019 where there was no virus. So it's improved since then, which suggests that sellers are now returning to the market. So everyone's back in the market, making for a really busy summer. And that's exactly what happened. So take note of active listings. Remember we said active listings were the number of listings that are on the market, not new, but on the market and not sold yet. We're down 28.8% year over year, so compared to the previous year, 2019, which means that a lot of people were buying, so there was fewer new listings. Like even though the new listings had increased compared to last year, there was not enough to meet the buyer demand. So tons of buyers who didn't buy in the spring now snatching up lots of properties in the summer. So higher demand, less inventory means higher prices going into the late part of summer and early fall. One thing that did happen though is the condo market took a big hit in the late summer, early fall period because of Airbnb. If you're a condo owner and you're looking at the value of your property or you rent Airbnb, you know that especially in downtown Toronto, the majority of people who live in condos in downtown Toronto are students, young professionals, or professionals who just work in town. And if you're renting out a condo, it's for people from overseas. But because of the pandemic, because of less travel, fewer students living downtown because the universities were closed or all online, less professionals living downtown if they're here just for work. A lot of rental properties dropped in price because there was less people renting. Fewer people traveling means a lot less Airbnb. So what does that mean? A lot of condo owners tried to put up their condos for sale, and the condo market, the number of new listings, I believe increased 114% year over year, which is a huge influx of condos onto the market. And what happens when there's a huge increase in inventory and not enough buyers is the price drops. So the value of condos, mostly in the downtown core, dropped, but we could see that ripple effect in the Midtown to North York area where the value of condos did drop everywhere, but mainly in the downtown core. But despite all of that, Toronto kept hitting new records in sales price month after month and hitting a new average price for Toronto real estate at over $1 million and 25,000, I believe. So what can we expect going into the winter months? What can we project? So usually winter is slower, right? It's winter, less people want to go outside, less people put their homes up for sale, and everyone kind of hibernates until the spring market comes back again. But this isn't exactly a regular year. December 2020 was a record-breaking year for GTA real estate. It was the highest year-over-year sales increase since 2010 when the market was coming back from the 2008 financial crash. It was the most sales ever recorded for a December in the GTA. December produced the largest increase in new listings ever recorded in the GTA. Huge demand and low supply means lots of bidding wars, and the price kept going up and up and up. So what can you expect going into 2021? I predict a busier than normal winter season, which we're starting to already see, and a busier than normal spring 2021. With the recent announcements of a possibly effective COVID vaccine, we could see that new seller confidence going into the spring market. So more people being okay, now knowing that there's possibly a vaccine for this, more people being okay with putting their homes on the market and selling their homes and buying new homes. So more transactions, more listings, and a busier than normal spring season. Also because there's probably still pent-up buyer demand from 2020. So what does this mean if you're a buyer? If you're a buyer going into 2021, a large increase or influx of new listings to the market could mean a drop in the price. That, coupled with historically low borrowing rates that we've been seeing, means that 2021 is a good time for you to buy and get into the real estate market. By this point in the video, we've gone over COVID-19 and how it's affected the buying and selling of the Toronto real estate market in 2020. With big swings in the world's behavior, something like a pandemic, come big swings in the way that people buy and sell everything, including real estate. So if you're looking to buy or sell, I highly suggest that you get yourself an agent going into this year so you can stay ahead of the curve. And if you haven't already, don't forget to click like below, click the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.